B flat. Well, that was interesting. I haven't played that in maybe in a year or two. I don't know. It's probably in some old TG News thing someplace. But I was thinking about a song. This is one that it's called Idlewild. Well, the second name of it was Idlewild, and it was a tune that somehow a conversation came up recently with one of my students about a time that I got to spend with Al Stewart. Al working on lyrics to one of my songs, and that was the one. And that just popped in my head as I was walking in here to record this, and I thought, wow, I wonder how that went. I had it by a different name until Al heard it and then decided he wanted to write a story about it. I will save that story for another day because it's quite long and I have a lot of stuff I want to get to today. But that part I forgot. Oh, that was an F7. There we go. G minor 6, F13, B flat major 7, B minor 7 flat 5, E minor 7 flat 5, A7 with a sharp 9, no, sharp 5. And there's the B flat chord I forgot. Yeah, man, that's it. I got it right the first time. Gotta be the end. Let's take it. Need a low D there, but anyway. Okay, sorry. I shouldn't start with these tangential things, but what the heck? Why change now? It is Friday, June 3rd. We're into the first month of the last half of the year, or the last month of the first half of the year. There we go. And for the last few weeks, about a month ago or so, I said, hey, I was going to get in the habit of some cool tips each Friday, and I got distracted and forgot. So today I have two that could turn into a really long story. So we'll see how it goes. One's going to be theoretical, one's going to be practical. A good way to practice chromatic scales. And then we're going to talk about learning the alphabet. But I'll get to that in a few minutes. Actually, that's about all I want to get to today. Didn't get to a new lesson, but boy, I like the idea of, oh shoot, capo not handy, but... Copper line. I'm going to get to that. What else? We had a suggestion for Jethro Tull, Look Into the Sun. I'm always thinking about Jethro Tull tunes, but we have a lot of them. And another suggestion that I didn't... Oh! Dave! Requested Guinevere. But it's been here for like over 10 years, I think. I think it was 2011 or so when I did that one. So, David Crosby did a lot of unusual tunings, of course. Kind of picked up that habit from his friend Joni Mitchell. And I can't remember the Guinevere tuning off the top of my head. It might just be the A and the B are reversed. Is that it? The B string goes down to A and the A string goes up to B? Anyway, you could consult my lesson on it because I'm sure it has all the answers. Anyhow, okay, what I want to get to today. Oh, wait, did I ever say it's June 3rd? Yes, I did. And, oh yeah, so the cool thing that did happen this week was I finally got around to finishing up a project I'd been working on with our dear friends in Europe, Chris and Corina. who got hooked on Whitebird just because of, they started listening to it and said, wow, this is a really cool tune and a great duet for a couple of singers with really good voices. I sang this at our last guitar camp with one of our longtime campers, and it didn't come out as nicely as having the pros do it. My female singer Paulette did great, but for me it was I should practice more. I have too much else to do. I like playing the guitar. Anyway, so yeah, Chris and Corina started listening to the original version of Whitebird and decided that they could sing that song together, and they kind of got hooked on it, which is pretty cool because I think it's one of the greatest tunes of all time, and I loved putting this thing together. Anyway, that whole little guitar solo and the violin solo. Okay, I still have to stop this obsession with Whitebird and move on to something else. Maybe next week it's going to be Instigated Vita. I wonder what key that's in. I do have a lesson on it, at least on the riff, I think. Okay, so I want to thank those guys for suggesting that I just record a backing track for them, which is a little bit different than the solo version I did. And well, just, I don't know, you might find this interesting, but what I needed to do was not play the melody, so it doesn't make sense for me to be doing this. And so all I had to do was like strum the chords, much simpler. And I decided to go to most of the B flats farther up the neck. So I was playing the C down here, and sometimes putting in a little passing note. What's kind of cool about hearing the C down here and then the B flat here is the bass goes down from C to B flat, but it's nice to have the melody go higher up to the B flat. So that's kind of what I decided to do as I was playing that. So I hope you get a chance to check that out. It's a newly, well, I actually just got it up this morning. It's in the Acoustic Snapshot world at our YouTube channel there, and of course on the forum where I try to make sure everything goes for people that check the forum. It was kind of cool to see some of the other general comments on the forum. Craig and Chris and a few other old timers started reminiscing about the good old days when we'd have 100 posts a day. Maybe not that, but 15 to 20, pretty regular. So maybe that'll be coming back. Okay. Enough about all that. Here's two completely different things. The first one is going to be technical. I was working with, actually it was a couple different people this week are working on playing scales or even just playing a riff like Birthday. And really had to work on them to have it not look like this. Have the hand flying all over the place and try to have it look more like this. Don't miss the notes, Neil. But a little more efficient with the left hand, less flying around, and not moving your hand when you have to reach for a note. So I had somebody that was always playing it like this, and when they would reach they had to go get to the 5th fret, they move their thumb up the neck, even though their little finger could get there. So the exercise that I had, that I wanted them to start working on, is the way I would have people practice a chromatic scale. So this is just a finger exercise, not so much a brain exercise. We'll get to that one in a minute as the second tip for today. But my favorite chromatic scale is playing, starting on A and playing 4 notes on the 6th string. And then in order to keep that, and staying really close to the frets, not having your hand look like this. And as you ascend in a chromatic scale, keeping your fingers down. Or at least keeping them close. Actually, I'm not keeping them down. I'm taking each one off as I go. And then when you go to the next string, though, you're going to start 1 fret lower to continue the pattern. And you're just gently going to reach back before you move your thumb back. So right here, I'm going to reach my first finger back to the 4th fret, and now as I continue up that string, I'm going to move my thumb into a slightly different position instead of doing this. I'll see if I can show you this. See? didn't come out clear because I moved my hand at the same time I reached for the note. So it comes out better if I reach back to the 4th fret and then follow with my thumb and use my first finger as kind of the guide. So on each of these strings, you reach 1 fret back. So we go from starting on the 5th fret, reaching back to the 4th, reaching back to the 3rd, reaching back to the 2nd, and now going from the 3rd string to the 2nd, stay at the same frets. 2nd fret for the C sharp here, and then for the 1st string, reaching back to the F on the 1st fret. And now I'm a note short, so I just move my 4th finger up to get that note. Keep your fingers close, alternate downs and ups, as little motion as possible. Now when you go down, when you descend, we're going to do the shift starting with your 4th finger. So you're going to go 4 fingers on the 1st string and then 1 fret higher on the 2nd string, 6th fret. Then again, you don't shift between the 2nd and 3rd strings. Then I reach to the 7th fret on the 4th string, the 8th fret on the 5th string, and the 9th fret on the 6th string, which means it's going to leave me again 1 fret short, and you slide down with there. Move too early. Anyway, so that's my favorite chromatic exercise for students. The other one, okay, and maybe next week I'll do 2 too, then I'll be caught up for however many I missed recently. The alphabet. Obviously you need to know the alphabet in a lot of different ways for music. The first is really simple, the letters A through G, forward. But starting anywhere. So you should be able to, when I used to work, we don't do this too much anymore, with my elementary school band students, what I did with them was worked on musical stuff not related to playing the clarinet or the flute or the trumpet, whatever they happen to be doing. And first was getting them used to thinking that after G comes A. That's a little tough when you're a 4th or a 5th grader, because you've just been learning that after G comes, I forget what happens in the real world. Anyway, so getting used to starting on D and be able to think forwards, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, and stop where you started, D. So this is the easy part. Pick a letter, F, okay, and you should be able to go F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, and stop there. Now, you want to be able to do that backwards too, starting any place. So if we pull a letter out of the hat and we get C, you should be able to think C, B, A, G, F, E, D, C. And got to remember where you started. Okay, that's phase 1. Phase 2, thirds, skipping letters. Being able to pick a letter, let's start with A for the ease of, and this is no different, well, it's a little different, maybe not too much though, than learning to count by even numbers or odd numbers, right? I mean, most people can think 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, etc. Or 2, 4, 6, 8, 15, 18, anyhow. But as far as the musical alphabet goes, you want to be able to think of skipping letters without saying the note in between. So you do want to get this memorized by rote. So at first you start thinking A, skip B, C, skip D, E, skip F, G. Okay, so then you want to be able to go through the whole circle, same thing, be able to pick a letter, start there, and go through the whole alphabet by thirds. If we start on D, you want to be able to think. I'm going to do this slowly so you can follow me, okay? D, F, A, C, E, G, B, and coming home to where we started, D. Now, why that's important is in order to get a good handle on notes and chords, triads, the first thing you want to be able to do is just, starting on any letter, know what the other 2 letters are. And just the absolute letters. Not whether you need a sharp or a flat for a minor or a major or anything else. Just being able to think, okay, what are the notes in a D chord? Well, let's see. I'm just going to worry about the letters. They have to be D, F, and A. Later on, I then worry about, oh, well, how do I make this major? How do I make it minor? Or even better, which D chord is that? The natural chord, D, F, A. If you know that that's D minor, then you just want to be able to figure out how to change it, to modify each chord if you're only given one. So, this is going to turn into too many tips, I think, or too much to process at one time. So I'm not even going to get into backwards by thirds yet or fifths. Those are coming up, and those are all kind of dependent on thirds. But if you know your thirds, if you pick a letter, C, C, E, G, you should know which C chord that is. Then what you have to do to make it one of the other three triads. In this case, C, E, let's not do C, it's too easy. Let's do E. So my E chord is E, got it? G, B. Now the question is, which E chord is it? Which E triad is that? Well, study the piano, that's all white keys, that has to be E minor. So I've got a minor chord. What do I have to do to either make it augmented, major, or diminished? One of the other three. And if you know you're starting with minor, you figure out what I have to do is raise the third, right? My E chord then has to have G sharp in it. If I needed to make it diminished, I go back to minor, and I have to do what? Flat the fifth. It has to be E, G, B flat. If I want to make it augmented, I want to go to major first. I got to have a major chord before I can make it augmented. Then I raise the fifth. So it's going to be my E, G sharp, and B sharp. That note we occasionally we call that note C. But my E augmented chord then has to sound like this. Ooh, makes me want to play a D augmented chord. Chords. You know, I'm torn between two different songs is what happened. Little turnaround, 1 to 4, and of course our D augmented chord. In case you're wondering, this augmented chord is played like a C chord, because C augmented, I would just have to, if I'm only playing the 4 middle strings for a C chord, I just have to raise the fifth, which is the G, the open G. Flatten out my first finger, I've got C augmented, but also that's E augmented. It's E, G sharp, C sharp, B sharp. And if I move it up a whole step, whether it was C or E, it could be D now. And that's the one we use in Stormy Monday. Okay. Post your questions here as to stuff that didn't make sense. Okay, that's all for today. I'll be back on June 10th. Oh my gosh, big day here in the Hogan household. It'll be the beginning of my wife's retirement. Not even her summer vacation. She doesn't have summer vacations anymore, starting on June 10th. So, things will change a bit around here at TG Central. Maybe traveling out your way sometime other than in the summer now. So, okay, I hope everything I said there about chromatic scale should have made sense. The alphabet forwards in thirds, work on that. And if you're ready for round 2 of that, work on that backwards. Be able to start on F and think. Let's do this slowly. F, D, B, G, E, C, A, F. Once you have the thirds forwards, you also have fifths if you can just skip the middle one. Okay, enough hints. I will see you next week.